Hi, everybody. It's Colette Baron-Reid. I'm here to do this week's Oracle card guidance and lesson. I'm using the Hidden Realms Oracle cards. I haven't used these in forever. And by the way, a lot of you have been asking, how do we get to see these videos first? Well, if you sign up to my newsletter list, you get all kinds of free stuff. You get these fantastic videos right in your inbox, and you get lots of extra things as well. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but sign up to my newsletter. Just go to colettebaronreid.com/newsletter. Is that right, Mark?
Yep.
That's right. Okay, so let's do this week's reading. Now I'm using the Celtic Cross. You can tell this is one of the old decks because we were still using metallic sides. I miss the metallics. This was a deck, by the way, I channeled in Sedona, Arizona. All these characters came to me in a dream. And I kept writing down notes. I wasn't sure it was an oracle in the very beginning. I thought I was just having weird dreams. And I realized, oh my God, these are an oracle deck. So this is the Hidden Realms. And of course, we're coming to Halloween. And that is when the veils are thinnest. So why not Hidden Realms, right? Okay, so I'm going to shuffle them and we're going to start. Now, the anchor card is the first card. You know that these readings are more prescriptive than predictive. Even though they're like a weather report, we're going to say, what's the energy we can expect this week? Then I tell you what we're going to do with the energy, or what you could do with the energy to mitigate any of the more difficult aspects of the week. Here we go. Oh, this is lovely. Now, that's interesting because last week we had gratitude as the way in which that was what was crossing us. So that was the way for us to get around obstacles. And this week we're still in gratitude, which is great. Our anchor is the High Lord of Gratitude and Service, which is really about that humility, conscious action on behalf of others. And it's wearing the world loosely around our shoulders. And this card represents that feeling that we're part of, but we're not individually so important. Even though we're unique, we're serving some greater cause. And that's a really good feeling to have. It means every breath you take is meaningful, right? So there you go. Now let's find out what the obstacle to this is. Like, what could help us over the obstacle, or what could the actual obstacle be? Creativity, vastness. I like this as an obstacle card, and I'm going to tell you why. So the Cosmos is card number 41, for those of you interested in the Hidden Realms. So the Cosmos, as the actual obstacle itself, means that there could be too much choice. And it means that you could feel overwhelmed by not knowing what to pick. I actually took a month, almost 2 months off of scrolling on all the social media channels. Obviously I show up and I talk to you guys on there on my business pages and even on one of my little personal pages, but it was such an interesting feeling I had because I had very little to choose from. Obviously, the algorithms weren't showing me my friends' stuff, right? Interesting. But the bottom line is that when we get bombarded by so much information, we don't always know what to pick. There's so many ads you'll see, and it's like, oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed. So this is an obstacle to our sense of, gratitude and service if we're distracted by too much, right? Too much going on. Now, the other option is, how does this help us? Well, the cosmos is all about the incredible conscious universe and its creative impulse to use us as the paintbrush of life, right? And it's the great artist. So that's also the way to help us over any obstacle, is to remember our partnership with Spirit, and that inspired creativity comes through us to find different solutions, etc. That comes through us as a gift. And that's our job, is to channel it forward. So this is an interesting week. Very interesting. Past. Very good. Okay, what's at the foundation of the week? Let's see. Gaia's Garden. So fruition, abundance, reaping what you sow. That's card number 18. So if you look at Gaia's Garden as abundance, what is abundance? Well, abundance isn't measured by stuff. Abundance is an energy that actually lives inside you, inside me, inside every human being on this planet. That when we tune into that flow of abundance, then we are more than enough, right? There's a relationship. And last week we also talked about the fact that we are enough. So we're following suit again with this idea that enoughness, I am enough. So within me, that when I trust and I'm not so frantic about trying to create something, I'm allowing that to come with me. I'm claiming it in advance. It's a very different feeling. It's trusting that the garden is rich. The soil, if you plant seeds in, it's going to grow something. So there's an abundance of everything. There's an abundance of negativity. There's an abundance of powerful, positive things too. One doesn't say only one is better. They are just what they are. It's where your attention is going to go, and that's at the foundation of this week. Pay attention to what you are paying attention to. Now, certainly, there's difficult things require our attention, right? There's no bypassing here. But it's also about how do we meet these things with grace and a little grit and gratitude. Grace, grit, and gratitude. Ooh, I like that. That's a good name for a song. Okay, what lesson are we already coming in with this week? Sacred union. Now, this was in protection. So sacred union in the upside down position, which is card 27. Remember, we just got through those weeks in Mercury retrograde when it was in Libra, which was all about relational aspects of life, partnerships, renewing partnerships, starting new ones, looking at old ones, letting people go, getting really clear about our behavior, making amends, building bridges, etc. And the fact that that is what we looked at, that we might have had to let somebody go or, and gracefully love them as they are and make different choices. And that's a lesson that we're coming in to this week with. We have done that. We have not said they are the red flag. We are saying I have the red flag. It's in me. It's about me. It's not about anybody else. Everyone gets to exist in their integrity, that they are who they are. So it's always about the inside job, about us. And this week we're going to start to see the abundance of possibilities that we have after having learnt this lesson, and we've made space for new people. How cool is that? Now, what's the highest we can attain right now? What's the energy that's crowning us, if you will? The Lady of Lightning. Total paradigm. Sometimes it's a shock, but in this case, it's not. It's an epiphany. If it was in the protection position, I would say shocking news or something that's coming that's, kind of like shocks you into awareness that's not really pleasant. But in this case, the highest we can attain is an epiphany. The epiphany is within us. This light bulb goes on, the ideas come. And why do I say that even more so? Because what's coming as a result of that, what evolves, is the Arrow Master, which is card number 10. It's about hitting the mark, right? So we're like, okay, if we get into this sense of gratitude and service and selflessness, and we're aware that there's an abundance that is in us and is everywhere in this universe, it's actually an energy, not a thing. It's not an accumulation of stuff. It's a sense we have. And we know that we have just been through a phase where we've had to address our relationships, especially the more difficult ones. And what's crossing us, the obstacles, we don't want to get overwhelmed, but we do want to get into that creative flow. That's the epiphany that comes when we surrender to spirit. And then, whoa, this is so great. Our intention starts to form, and the need for detachment, or the concept of non-attachment to our desire, is really key. So again, just to summarize this particular card, it is both about hitting your mark with your desire, right? Because you have a desired outcome, but being completely unattached to that outcome. So there's a little bit of a paradox in that, but that's what it's calling for us, to set our intentions, give it wings and set it free, is basically what that is. Now let's look at the 4 energies that are weaving themselves into the fabric of all our lives this week. Some of the energy will be more strong for some of you and me or whatever, and maybe only one of them will really stand out, or maybe all 4, but they're there. They're kind of like in the background of everything. So let's see what those are going to be. Okie dokie. The Dragon's Duel, Inner Conflict, the Spirit Whisperer, Divine Guidance, Higher Knowing, Keeper of the Scales, Fairness, Balance, and the River Queen, Flow and Letting Go. That's actually one of my favorite cards. Okay, so let's take a look at the Dragon's Duel, morality and conscious choices. So remember I talked about where we put our attention. So if we're going to plant weeds, we're going to get weeds, right? In this case, it's like, where are you placing your attention? So are you in the fight, flight, freeze and reactive? Are you kind of going over your list of resentments in your head? Or are you looking for the solution? So maybe both are around the same subject, but this is saying whichever dragon you're going to feed is the one that's going to give you the power to move forward. So you want to ensure that even though you might struggle and have a bit of resistance to it, and it's actually much harder to focus on the positive than it is on the negative bias. I actually get emails saying, why are you so positive? When I do my readings, like people want to hear, oh, it's going to be crappy. But I got to be honest with you, that isn't the way to see things either. Like I'm going to look through the lens, not through rose-colored glasses. I want to look through a solution-based lens. Yes, we know what the shadow is. Yes, we know what's not working. We know what isn't working. But let's look at how we can make it work. So it's not that I avoid the negative. I want to look at where is there a spin on this? Where could we evolve through this? What are we making this mean, and what else could we make it mean? That's really important because I'm not a rose-colored glasses person. You can ask my husband. So that's important. So even though this sounds really good here, this could be our experience. The energy could be a little fraught. Then we have the Spirit Whisperer. Great time coming up to, right? We're in Scorpio. There's deep, dark, fabulous secrets. The phoenix rising up in the ashes. Like I love Scorpio time. It's dark and beautiful and wonderful here in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course, in the Southern, it's the opposite, exact opposite. So here we go with Spirit Whisperer, divine guidance and higher knowing. So this is really about, I can't think my way out of my resistance. I can't think my way out of my resentment sometimes. I can't make it myself grateful. Oh, but what I can do is like pray to be willing, to be willing, to be willing. Or pray to be willing, to be willing, to be willing, to be willing. Or just pray to be willing. And pray for the power to release. Or the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Where will I place my attention? Now, because the dragon's dual, falls underneath Keeper of the Scales, which is about fairness and balance, this does bring up issues around social justice. And because these cards came up upright, what we're seeing here is slow progress, tiny incremental change when we really want big change. So there's a feeling like we want to push the river, and it could be that we're disappointed things aren't happening fast enough, or they're not happening the way we see it. But sometimes it takes a long time for a solution to take root in the psyches of the population, right? So it's all of us, and there's so much polarity right now, it doesn't all make sense. So we have to be trusting, and we have to keep doing the small incremental things each one of us can do, because we can't make the big things happen unless we do the small things. And continue to do that, and that's when we're going to start feeling more in flow. And then, bingo, the River Queen. The River Queen is all about flowing. Go with divine flow. Recognize that there is a certain flow of events and flow of life, that when we get into that, we're not fighting against the river. We're not fighting upstream. We're saying, okay, I can accept this. This is what it is now. What can I do, to keep my boat afloat? What can I do to bring my raft down the river? Part of this as well is surrendering to divine timing. Surrendering to divine timing. So this is an interesting week. So, like I mentioned before, don't forget, if you would like to see these videos in your inbox and you don't want to go on social media, you don't want to actually, but you'll get the videos and all this other good stuff too, sign up for my newsletter list. Everybody that signs up in the newsletter list gets everything direct to your inbox, so you don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to go doom scrolling. You can just have it, and it's awesome. And I'll see you next time. If you like this video, sign up to my newsletter. I mean, I love YouTube and everything like that, right? But if you'd rather have it in your inbox, wouldn't it be cool? But if you like staying here, I love YouTube, of course. Then you want to subscribe to my channel, and you want to leave me a comment, then you definitely want to give me a thumbs up because, well, so much nicer. I'll see you next time. Take care.